Let me know when you're set, Chris.
We are good.
Time being approximately 7:30 p.m., November 21st, 2024. The Franklin Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order. This meeting is being recorded and televised. A listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The meeting will be held via the Zoom platform. You can log in. You can go to the ZBA website, the Franklin website, and get the login info for that. You may also join the meeting on your smartphone by calling 1-929-205-6099. For those looking to view the meeting, it can be viewed live at this time on Comcast 9 and Verizon 29. It is also streaming directly from Franklin TV's website. Visit franklin.tv and just click on the Town Hall TV channel. Time being 7:30. The first thing, we don't have any public hearings scheduled. We got general business. The 275 Washington Street discussion on a revote. On application for a special permit to operate a dog daycare and a daytime kennel facility for Lawrence Lavoie. We're back with this again. We did have a vote at the last meeting. There was two potential problems for it, so we're just trying to do a little house cleaning. Evidently, it didn't show up on the agenda as an agenda item. It wasn't really an agenda item. It would have been under general business anyway. And I think I mentioned it at the meeting before because we were having an earth removal permit for the same property that would probably take up the vote for that. But with that being said, and one other problem was one of the members decided that they were comfortable enough to vote on it after saying that they read the minutes and watched most of the recording. Evidently, that could have been a potential problem also because I guess you have to watch all of the recording of the meeting that you missed, or at least the potential, whatever you were voting on, you had to watch that whole particular part of that meeting, not just partial it. And but the member figured that she could vote on it. She was comfortable voting on it. So we, we let the member took her place and the vote was done. But because there's a potential problem with it, we're just going to have a revote tonight. So with that being said, and if anybody has a question, I'll take it, but you can't give us any new information. We're not going to take any information because the public hearing's already been closed. So if there's anybody that has any questions or comments briefly, I'll listen to them, or the board will listen to them.
I actually have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, just identify yourself, please.
Sure. Hallie Reisinger, 1 Taft Drive.
Yep.
Thank you for your time. So my question is that this particular business requires a special permit, which is why we're here today, because the area that it is wanting to go in is zoned differently than what it is. What are the policies in terms of once an area has been zoned for a particular use, how often are businesses that are not zoned for that allowed into them and then go through the special override process?
It's not an override process. It's a special permit they apply for to operate a business. I think I explained it once that kennels are not permitted in any zone in the town of Franklin. And a kennel permit is anything more than 3 dogs. So with that being said, they applied for this in this particular zone because it was an industrial zone. We have another one in another part of town that's in an industrial zone. I think there's another one that's in a commercial 2 zone also. But like I said, they're not approved. They're not by right. And it's basically, it talks, they talk about a kennel permit. Kennel permit is for more than 3 dogs. So, and that's what the person applied for. So we're taking it up. And is it common? It's not uncommon. So, I mean, we have granted special permits in the past, even for this particular use. You all set, Callie?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, it's Karen Miller. Quick question for you, please.
Sure.
It all gets really confusing, so appreciate the patience, appreciate the time, right? And for when the planning board approved the particular building and there were conditions and such on it, and it's that, as you're approving this special permit for this, do you consider that, or who considers the kind of things? For specific example, like the stormwater, right, and the runoff and such, and the applicant specifically said that the dogs would urinate on the tar, right? So would that be the zoning board, or who would look at that to say, hey, that's not allowable to run into stormwater? Sorry, I'm probably not articulating my question well.
No,
Apologies.
you're articulating okay. I mean, you're asking a question that really has no answer. I mean, the dogs pee. Listen, and I've thought about it since you brought it up before. The dogs. So, what about the dogs that are peeing down on Dacey's farm? At the dog, what do they call it? The dog playground down there.
But that's grass, right? So that's grass.
But it doesn't make any difference. Which is better, just going in the grass and seeping in the ground? If I'm not mistaken, there's a river close by down there too. So if you wanted to argue, there shouldn't be a doggy day. It's not a doggy daycare. It's just a place where people can take their dogs. But they take their dogs, and obviously they relieve themselves while they're there. No different than if the dog walker takes them out. Now that doesn't preclude that the dogs are going to urinate inside of the building also. So, I'm pretty sure that most buildings have a drain in them. Probably goes through a grease trap, but it doesn't catch urine. It's made to catch particulates that stay in and then they get sucked out after. But
yeah, appreciate it. And I'm not trying to argue. I sat through hours and hours and hours for everything on that building, and a lot of times you're just like, hey, clarification is great. So I appreciate that. And so the stormwater thing, there was a lot of discussion about that because of the runoff, because of the wetlands and such. And so when the gentleman said the dogs were going to urinate on the tar, it was kind of like, well, is that considered toxic and allowed to run into the stormwater? And then I'm specifically asking you not to necessarily answer the question, but to say, yes, I'm responsible to answer that question. Or, sorry, Gus has got his hand up, so maybe he's going to answer me.
Yeah, I can just tell you one other thing. If they're urinating on the lawn, on the asphalt, probably most of the urine's going to evaporate before it ever hits even the stormwater control. But Gus, did you want to answer that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Gus Brown, Building Commissioner. Through the chair, Karen, there are floor drains inside. That's one question maybe I can answer. And there's also a tight tank outside that this goes to, and that tank gets pumped. It does not leach into the ground whatsoever. And the town engineer, Mike Maglio, and the conservation agent, Bricolai Goodlander, they're well aware of this situation out here with what is possibly coming. And I have not heard from either one of them in the negative that this could be a problem. So I can't answer for them totally. I just have not heard any comments from them.
Through the chair, thank you, Gus. I think through the chair, I guess conservation can't opinionate unless they're specifically contacted and asked to, was what we were told. And I was only asking these questions too because when I went back and looked at the minutes and such, and some of the things the gentleman had said, were concerning about the dog urinating on the tar, running into it, and such, and like having the dogs outside, and then in the conditions it had said all industrial activity will take place inside the building. So when he talked about, being outside and such, and the 100 feet, the noises won't be heard within 100 feet. So there was a lot of things in the planning board meeting. And so I apologize for being lengthy, but there were a lot of things discussed in many planning board meetings that came through to the beta summary that were talked about, that I guess I'm just asking, how are those things being monitored? And so when the zoning board, if they see power to approve this, would that be you, Mr. Brown, through the chair, that would say, hey, yeah, there's noise, it's more than 100 feet, there's urine going into that containment. Thank you for that explanation. That was super helpful.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Sure.
Can I
Go
answer
ahead.
that question?
Yeah.
And I sympathize with the questions you ask, and I did look at that email that you sent today.
Thank you.
And the board has the ability to grant special permits, variances, comprehensive permits, and that's what they're here for. In the case of what you sent today, it's really falls on my shoulders after the board makes their decision. And that's why we're all in this forum, because you get to voice your opinions. And I know there's no new things that can be added tonight, but your questions are valid. And we're gonna, if the board does grant it and, approves this, then it's on me as to what I feel needs to be enforced. I think if this gentleman does get the approval and does move forward with it, I think I have a good enough relationship with him that I can say, hey, Larry, we're getting complaints about X, Y, or Z. Can we try to work something out? That's kind of the way I operate without, making a big deal out of it first. I think you try to work with people and understand that, we have these in other areas of town, maybe not as close proximity as to the residential folks like you that are nearby, but we're not going to take a blind eye to complaints that you might have. We never have, and you know that. So please understand that this board has the power to grant, but then I have the enforcement power for what you may have questions about. Okay?
Mr. Chair, just like to thank Mr. Brown for the explanation, because it's exactly what I was trying to get to, like, who is the enforcement power on this? So I very much appreciate that. And thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Much appreciated.
Yeah. In front, the ZBA, just so you know, doesn't have any enforcement authority. Our enforcement authority lies with the zoning enforcement officer, which in the town of Franklin happens to be the building commissioner, which happens to be Mr. Brown. So,
and so you understand how that gets confusing when I'm trying to ask a question. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ask the world. You just don't know who to ask. And I knew, Mr. Chair, like, it's not necessarily you, but you know how when you don't know who to ask. So I appreciate that, Mr. Brown, and appreciate, we're not trying to give anyone a hard time either. It's going to be very disruptive, as everybody knows. And, no matter what they say, dogs bark. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
okay, Arch. Any questions?
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Archie.
I don't have questions. I'd like to make a motion if that's okay.
Just let me check with Joe. Joe, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Archie.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant the special permit to operate a dog daycare and daytime kennel facility Monday through Friday for 275 Washington Street for Lawrence Laboulé, with the conditions that the hours be set from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday only, no overnights or weekends, and subject to the parking spots approved on the site plan. That no more than 55 small to medium-sized dogs be allowed. Franklin Animal Control approves this use. The applicant keeps the overhead garage bay doors closed at all times during operation of this business throughout the year. No off-site dog walking and disposal of waste in the proper manner, which could be the dogs in this manner, which could be that the dogs urinate on the parking lot, and the dogs can poop in the parking lot as long as disposed in a proper way. The building commissioner will determine if the traffic study would be in order as opposed to the ZBA telling them to do it. The special permit is only for Mr. Lavoy and the applicant and does not run with the property for unit B19 in building B for approximately 1,750 square feet as shown on our plan which units located at 275 Washington Street, owned by Flex Space LLC, based upon an approved site plan in the planning board, that any amended hours that the applicant or owner may get from the planning board on site plan modification to operate the business at different hours than was stated would be fine with the ZBA, except no overnights, no weekends allowed.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion here. I'd like to amend the hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. That way, if they go to the planning board I don't think they even have to go, because I don't think the planning board put any conditions on the hours. I know the owner of the property did, but if he decides that he wants to go and get approval for extra hours for this, and the reason for my thinking is if you got 50 dogs in there, and if people are going to work, some people got to be to work by 7, some people got to be to work by 8. That maybe if they open up at 6, you'll take care of most of the threats with any traffic problems at the bus stop, because I'd say that probably 50% of the people who are going to drop their dogs off may drop them off before 7 if they could. I don't think this is a big deal as far as noise or traffic concerns or anything else, but just to get them in there earlier before the bus that stops out front has any conflict with anybody going in and out. In that, and 6 p.m. is a reasonable hour. A lot of people work till 5. I mean, a lot of people work from home, but a lot of people work till 5. If they have to get out, they can't rush 10 seconds to get here to pick the dog up. So I think an amendment to 6 to 6 would be, if it's amenable to the maker of the motion, I'd like to change it to that.
I'm amenable, but I'd like a question to Gus Brown first. I believe the planning board did put a time limit on that property.
That's correct.
Did the planning board do it, Gus, or did it just the owner write it on the plan?
No, the planning board did it.
Okay. Well, in my motion if they go to the planning board and get some approved hours, in other words, if the planning board said they can only operate from 7 to 5, then so be it. But if they go back, I don't want them to come back and say, well, you can open it, like they did on another project and in the industrial district, say you can open up anytime you want. You know what I mean? So this way here, even if they do, we can approve this, but subject to the planning board approval, I guess.
Right. That's my enforcement ability. If this board decides to vote, change the hours, he would still have to have a hearing in front of the planning board. It would be a public hearing.
Yeah.
Not general business. And then they can decide whether or not, I'm not going to get into detail about what I think. I just have the enforcement ability with what now exists.
Okay.
This board has every right in the world to, and I'm sorry to say this, if this upsets people, but they have every right in the world to vote the way they want to vote and put it in certain conditions. Doesn't mean that they can change the hours of operation with this board's decision.
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I don't care. But if they do change them, at least if they go to 6 to 6, then it falls with what we give them. Now, if he can't get that from the planning board, that's his problem, not ours. So I'm just trying to go down the road and say, hey, we don't want them opening up at 3 in the morning or, having people pick them up at 10, 11 o'clock at night, even because they're not going to stay overnight. But a 6 to 6 is a reasonable time frame, 12 hours during the day, that I think a business of this nature could operate successfully. I don't think it's going to be too successful at 7 to 5, but
okay. Through the chair, with that explanation, I'm in favor of the chair's amendment.
Yeah, if he keeps it at 6 to 6, then I'm fine with it as well.
Okay. And one other thing,
But it needs to be approved by the planning board.
Yeah, the planning board. If the planning board so approved it in the first place, then yeah, they'd have to be the ones that would amend it. I
So
agree.
they go to the planning board, open meeting, it's a public meeting, and they need to seek approval or seek to change it from them.
Yeah. I don't, Gus, I was under the impression that this has been done once before during a general business with hours of operation in the industrial zone.
As far as the planning board?
Yeah.
I'd have to know the time and and
I
location.
don't know the time, but I know the location. It was the King Street project up at King Street 495.
Oh, that's correct. Yes.
And I'm pretty sure they did it at general business. Didn't have to be a public hearing.
Which,
I think in this case, I would ask for the public hearing.
Okay. And the other thing I'd probably like to strike would be just to take it off of the building commissioners. I don't think that the building commissioner should determine if a traffic study would be in order. I don't want people getting mad at him because he didn't decide to do it. If we just take that, and everybody okay with taking that condition out?
yes,
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I could just comment on that, please.
go ahead.
To the ladies and any other people that are watching this right now, a traffic study was not done. Oh, that's probably a legal issue whether I have the authority to send them back for a traffic study. The building is as it sits right now. And what courts or judges may say may differ from what I can enforce. So I just want to be clear.
Well, I was taking that out, Gus, just to
I
alleviate
know.
you of that problem. So,
I know it. I know the ladies here that are watching. I want to make sure they understand that they're taking the authority or the burden off of me to order a traffic study. And the reason they're doing that is because I may not have a say in the matter, okay? Because the planning board sets those rules.
okay. The friendly amendments have been accepted, so there'll be a vote on the motion. Joe,
yes,
Archie,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you, everyone. Next thing on the general business, we got the minutes of the meeting of November 7th, 2024. Members have been provided a copy. I'll give you a chance to look at them, and I'll entertain a motion.
so moved.
I've read them. Joe, have you read the minutes?
Yes, I have.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for November 7th.
So
Second.
moved.
So moved. Second, okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion, changes, omissions, deletions, anything else? Hearing none, the vote will come on that. Roll call vote. Archie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
chair votes yes. Casey, anything further to come before the board?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Do we have the next meeting date?
No, not right this minute. We're not meeting on the 5th.
Okay.
Scheduled meeting, we're not meeting that. And the way Casey told me earlier is that we're probably not going to be meeting on the 19th because I think we're only a couple more days to the deadline for people to get an application in. And from what I understand, it hasn't been very busy lately, so maybe not. So what I said last time goes again. Have a nice holiday, have a nice Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and hopefully see everybody healthy, wealthy, and wise after the first of the year.
Hopefully not us,
Karen, you seem to join in on everything that goes on, whether it's across the street or a mile away or whatever.
Oh, come on. That's not fair, Brucey. A mile away. What have I ever spoken about? My backyard and my front yard.
The daycare up on Upper Union Street.
No.
Yeah, you spoke on that one time.
No, there's 2 Karen Millers in town, and I don't even know where the daycare is on Upper Union Street.
Okay. There's actually
The
2.
one near Pat? The one near Pat?
No, not that one. The one by, it's down the street by the hotels, across the street from the hotels. Okay. I'll take your word.
Let's
for it.
be honest, I could care less about a daycare center at this point in my life. Come on.
All right, Karen. Have a nice night.
Bruce, thank you guys so much. I super appreciate it. Gus, you guys, I know. Thank you. I appreciate the patience over and over again. Have a good
Okay.
night. Have a good
Thank you.
holiday.
You too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if I could
Thank
just say
you.
one more thing. I know the meeting's closed.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Are we still being recorded?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're on TV.
Not going to turn a blind eye to any questions you have, so just be patient. Okay?
Gus, I am, Gus, like from the bottom of my heart, you've always been super patient with the questions and things like that. And sometimes I wish like you could ask me a tax question that I could help you. So from the bottom of my heart, Gus, thank you so much. You really have been patient, and through the chair, Bruce too. You guys have been really patient. And it's just, I'm just like that. That's my nature. I like to understand so that you can go like, hey, they're allowed to do that, or they're not allowed to do that. You know what I mean? So, and I work from home, which is the most unfortunate thing. Someone send me back to my office so I don't have to look at it all day long.
Get in the government to sending everybody back to work.
Right? Not us, right? And I literally am like, oh my God, I don't even want to see this. So Bruce, someday come down during the day and I'll introduce you to Angus across the street.
Okay.
You will feel my pain as soon as you meet Angus.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys, honestly. And Gus, I try to be respectful every time I reach out to you because, I know I'm a pain.
You both have. Callie and yourself, Karen, so I appreciate the patience.
Yeah.
Gus, thank you so much. I just wanted to say also, you have been so helpful with everything. You're very quick to respond. You're thoughtful with everything. So I really appreciate your time and effort.
Yeah, we don't like the decision, but it doesn't mean that we weren't thankful for, for you guys and answering the questions and taking the time. So different things. And so, yeah, when next door happens, Brucey, we'll see each other again. If I haven't moved by then, I might have moved by then.
There you go. All right. Good luck.
Thank you guys.
Good
Happy
luck in the future.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
See ya. Night.
Thank you.
Bye.